They said it was an accident. But when the footage disappeared, when the hospital's security files were wiped clean within minutes, and when 3 senior officials were suddenly transferred the same night, people started asking questions that no one wanted to answer. Tonight, we uncover the story that terrified China's top leadership, the mysterious death of Yu Menglong. What really happened to the actor whose sudden silence sent ripples through Beijing's most guarded circles? Why did the state rush to erase every trace of his final hours? And what did he uncover that made even the most powerful tremble? Stay with me. Because by the time this ends, you'll understand why this case was never just about a celebrity's death, but about a secret so explosive, it could shake the foundations of power itself. The story begins on a quiet evening in Beijing. The city lights reflected across the glass towers of Chaoyang district, where Yu Menglong, a man celebrated for his calm demeanor and subtle brilliance, had just returned from a late rehearsal. Neighbors remembered hearing nothing unusual. Just a brief sound like something heavy collapsing, then silence. At 11:42 p.m., the building's security camera caught a shadow moving near his door. The figure wore a cap and mask, carried something metallic. The footage cuts abruptly, 6 seconds missing. No one could explain why. By morning, Yu Menglong was found lifeless outside his apartment. The official statement called it an accidental fall due to intoxication. But insiders whispered of inconsistencies, bruises, broken glass, a faint smell of burnt electronics. His phone, laptop, and external drives were gone. Within 2 hours, plainclothes officers arrived, sealing off the floor. A technician later claimed he was forced to delete the backup feed from the building's mainframe, told that it was a matter of national security. The silence from authorities was deafening. Yet inside Zongnanhari, the air was heavy with tension. Reports suggest that the incident was discussed in a closed meeting involving several top-ranking officials. One of them reportedly said, "This must not leak." Why would the death of an actor cause panic at the highest levels of government? According to a confidential source from within the entertainment industry, Yu Menglong had stumbled upon something, a data trail buried within a charity foundation linked to several elite families. A trail that pointed to offshore accounts, coded under aliases of people never meant to be exposed. He wasn't supposed to find it. But he did. 2 weeks before his death, Yu confided in a close friend, a former manager, saying he felt watched. He had noticed the same black sedan parked near his studio for 3 consecutive nights. He told her, "If anything happens to me, it won't be an accident." That friend tried to contact him after the night of the incident. Her messages remained unread. Her call history was later erased. Behind the scenes, state-run tabloids began releasing diversion headlines. Stories about new drama releases and celebrity scandals flooded social media overnight. Anything to drown the noise. But one small clip slipped through. A fan had uploaded a 10-second live video outside Yu Menglong's building at midnight. It captured 3 men leaving through the service entrance, carrying what looked like a metallic case. Within hours, the clip vanished. The user's account was deleted. Then came the part no one was supposed to see. A whistleblower from within the Beijing Emergency Response Unit leaked a fragment of an internal log, timestamped exactly at 11:59 p.m. It mentioned interference with monitoring signals and code black authorization. Those terms, according to intelligence analysts, are rarely used, only in cases tied to internal security or high-level operations. This wasn't just a cleanup. It was a containment. The days that followed were like a fog of silence. His colleagues posted tributes that were quickly taken down. Directors who once worked with him were told to refrain from public commentary. His name was quietly scrubbed from streaming platforms. Even his fan pages vanished overnight. Yet the public kept asking, why? Soon, a strange detail emerged, a single message left in his personal WeChat folder, sent to a private contact hours before his death. It read, "They said they'll come tonight. If this message sends, I'm already gone." The contact never responded. The chat history was later found to have been deleted remotely. Within China's leadership circle, internal memos started circulating. An investigation not into his death, but into how the leak happened. One classified briefing reportedly concluded that the incident posed reputational risks to certain networks of influence. In simpler terms, Yu Menglong had stumbled into something too big for him to survive. One of those networks, sources say, was tied to a powerful figure known only as the Architect, a name whispered within business circles, linked to media censorship and control of digital narratives. Around this time, a journalist from Hong Kong attempted to publish a story titled The Silence of Yu Menglong. Within 24 hours, her article was pulled. Her press accreditation was revoked. But before it vanished, a cached copy briefly circulated online. It contained one chilling line. He tried to speak, but the system spoke louder. That line became symbolic among those who refused to forget. Months later, the man who had managed Yu's career disappeared during a trip to Chengdu. His hotel room was found empty, luggage intact, phone on the desk, power still on. Authorities claimed no foul play. But his sister later revealed a voice note he sent days before. "They told me to stop asking questions about Menglong. I'm scared. Please keep the folder safe." No one knows what that folder contained. Inside Beijing, whispers spread of an emergency communication between two high-ranking officials. One allegedly said, "This could reach the families." Another replied, "Then make sure it doesn't." The term families was understood by insiders to mean the elite power clans, the invisible hierarchy that decides who rises and who disappears. Yu Menglong's case had touched something sacred, something forbidden to expose. Weeks later, an anonymous user on a dark web forum uploaded fragments of encrypted data, claiming it came from Yu's missing laptop. Among the fragments were financial transaction logs, timestamps, and a hidden note embedded in code. Truth has a cost. Shortly after, the post was deleted, and the account banned. Cyber experts traced the IP to a VPN exit node in Malaysia. Then, silence. But the silence didn't stop the fear. Insiders began reporting sudden transfers within media departments, unplanned resignations, and the quiet reassignment of a regional propaganda chief. It was as if the entire machine was rearranging itself, purging evidence before it spread. At the same time, unverified reports claimed that one official had suffered a breakdown, muttering during interrogation. He wasn't supposed to see the list. The list, rumored to contain over 40 names, business elites, investors, and state-connected figures, vanished into the archives. A month after his death, a small vigil was held quietly in Shanghai. Only a few fans showed up. Plainclothes officers stood nearby, filming them. When someone tried to light a candle, they were told to disperse. One woman whispered to a journalist before leaving, "They're afraid of a ghost." And maybe they were. Because even after the story was buried, leaks continued. Audio fragments, unsigned letters, encrypted blogs, all suggesting that Yu Menglong's death was part of something larger, something that had already shaken the confidence of those at the top. By late summer, a quiet order circulated within elite circles: avoid discussing the case, avoid the actor's name, and eliminate all traces from media servers. The instruction came with a warning: further dissemination will be treated as subversive. But deep inside Beijing's digital archives, some files never truly vanish. Engineers who maintain those systems know, deletion is only temporary. Somewhere, on a forgotten backup, lies the truth, a truth that terrified even the highest ranks. One former intelligence analyst, now living overseas, summarized it best. He wasn't killed for what he did. He was killed for what he saw. He claimed Yu Menglong had uncovered the digital skeleton of an operation, one connecting entertainment funding with covert political networks. He had reached out to a foreign contact, intending to expose it. But before he could, someone intercepted him. The analyst paused before adding, "It's the kind of secret that doesn't just end a career. It ends lives." To this day, no official report has been released about Yu Menglong's final moments. His death certificate lists respiratory failure. But among those who've seen the classified version, one word is redacted: the cause. Even the medical staff who handled the case were rotated out within weeks. A nurse later told a friend, "I still remember his face. Peaceful, but his hand was clenched, like he was holding something invisible." So what exactly terrified China's top leadership? It wasn't just the death itself. It was what it symbolized, that even within their walls of control, someone had touched the forbidden truth. A truth that could dismantle decades of carefully built illusions. Every system fears exposure. Every empire fears collapse from within. And sometimes, all it takes is one man, one accidental discovery, one file too many opened in the wrong place. Yu Menglong became that accident. In the months that followed, China's entertainment industry tightened further. New guidelines appeared, stricter control on celebrity foundations, foreign collaborations, and content discipline. It wasn't about morality. It was about fear. The fear that another actor might stumble upon what Menglong saw. Yet even now, in hidden corners of the web, his fans share encrypted tributes, digital memorials disguised as photo edits. Each one carries a single word embedded in metadata, remember. Because for them, his silence wasn't the end. It was a message. Maybe the truth will never surface. Maybe it already has, buried within fragments of deleted footage, lost within whispers of those who once served power but grew tired of its lies. But one thing is certain, whatever Yu Menglong uncovered that night, it changed something deep within the corridors of control. And even the most powerful men in China, for one brief moment, were afraid. It started hours before the world knew anything had gone wrong. At 9:18 p.m., Yu Menglong's phone logged its final outgoing call, a 2-minute conversation to an unknown number saved only as D. What was said in that call remains one of the biggest questions in this mystery. A neighbor later recalled hearing faint music from his apartment, the same piano loop Yu often used when he was anxious. He had a ritual: soft light, coffee untouched, screens glowing. But that night, something was off. His curtains, usually open, were drawn shut. At 9:46 p.m., surveillance footage from the lobby captured a courier arriving with a small package. Inside, according to a leaked report, was a black flash drive sealed in transparent plastic. The package bore no sender's name. The guard who signed it was later reassigned. Minutes later, Yu Menglong was seen pacing in front of his desk, opening and closing the drive multiple times. Security logs show unusual spikes in his Wi-Fi activity, as if several large files were being uploaded and deleted in rapid succession. Then, everything went dark. At 10:01 p.m., his power flickered. 3 seconds later, a blackout struck the entire building's west wing. Forensics later confirmed the outage wasn't random. Someone had tampered with the circuit breaker manually. When the lights returned, Yu was standing at his balcony, phone pressed tightly to his ear. A resident across the courtyard said he looked terrified, whispering, almost pleading. That was the last time anyone saw him alive. By 10:30 p.m., 2 unmarked vehicles parked opposite the complex. They stayed for 20 minutes, engines off, no one stepping out. Then a single figure crossed the street and disappeared into the alley leading to the back entrance. What happened between that moment and 11:42 p.m., the official time of incident, is the blank space investigators can't fill. The missing 6 seconds of surveillance footage might have held the answer. But here's where it gets chilling. A technician responsible for maintaining the CCTV system later told a friend that he saw the footage before it was erased. He described it as a man in dark clothing entering the hallway, carrying something metallic, not a weapon, maybe a tool. He said the man moved with the confidence of someone who had done this before. By midnight, the technician's account disappeared from all internal records. Meanwhile, across town, a senior executive at a streaming company received a call from a restricted number. According to leaked call summaries, the voice on the other end said only one sentence. "Take his name off the homepage, now." Within 5 minutes, Yu Menglong's promotional banners vanished from the platform. Algorithms were reprogrammed to suppress searches for his name. It was as if an invisible switch had been flipped to erase him before anyone knew why. At 12:14 a.m., the same system executed a mass deletion of posts containing the keyword Yu Menglong plus accident. Someone, somewhere, had been preparing for this moment. The next morning, while social media exploded with confusion, a small team entered Yu's apartment. According to an insider, they wore civilian clothes but carried official authorization tags. Their first move wasn't to secure the scene, it was to collect every electronic device in sight. a USB drive, a laptop, 2 mobile phones. All sealed, labeled, and removed within 15 minutes. Neighbors who tried to peek into the hallway were told to go back inside. One elderly woman later whispered that she overheard one of the agents say, "The server must not replicate." Replicate what? What kind of data could frighten those in power so deeply that they'd erase a man's entire existence overnight? Later that day, when journalists approached the precinct for confirmation, they were met with the same phrase. No case found. Not case closed. No case found. It was as if the event itself had been erased from the country's memory. But in the shadows of that silence, fragments continued to leak. A screenshot of an internal memo circulated briefly among entertainment insiders. It read, "Contain digital exposure related to subject YML enforce Level 3 protocol." Level 3 protocol, a term reportedly reserved for matters that threaten the image of the state or its affiliates. Here's the part that sent chills through the industry. At 3 p.m. that same afternoon, several high-profile media executives were suddenly summoned to a closed meeting at a government building in Haidian. Phones were confiscated. According to one source who later fled the country, the briefing was short but direct. The incident is under review. Anyone who amplifies it will face accountability. One of the executives asked, "What exactly happened?" The official leading the meeting replied, "You don't need to know. You just need to forget." That single sentence spread quietly through the entertainment world, a warning disguised as advice. Days later, when the official obituary was released, it mentioned nothing about the circumstances. Just a polite, hollow farewell. Yet, between those words, many saw a message, a sign of fear from those who wrote it. Behind every polished phrase was a question nobody dared to ask aloud. What had Yu Menglong seen? Was it corruption hidden under charity? Was it proof of secret funding networks? Or was it something darker, a direct line between art, power, and surveillance itself? Whatever it was enough to make those at the top tremble. And here's where it gets even stranger. Days after the death, one of the emergency responders reportedly found a torn page near Yu's desk, a fragment from a notebook. It had just 4 words written on it. "They already know everything." No one knows what that meant or who they were. But maybe that's why, when news of his death reached the higher echelons, the reaction wasn't confusion or sympathy, it was fear. The kind of fear that lives in silence. The kind that makes powerful people erase evidence instead of explaining it. Maybe that night was never about one man dying. Maybe it was about what his death could reveal, the cracks in the wall, the fractures in the story the state tells itself. Because when truth knocks on the door of power, even empires hesitate to answer. If you've stayed with me this far, tell me, what do you think happened in those missing 6 seconds of footage? Was it an accident, a warning, or an execution carefully disguised as fate? Drop your theories in the comments. Let's see who can piece this puzzle together. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because stories like this deserve to be seen, and your engagement keeps the investigation alive. Your thoughts could be the clue that exposes what they've tried so hard to bury. So, what do you believe really happened to Yu Menglong that night?